It's a genuine honor to have you, sir.
Oh,
Before
I,
we I still remember that whenever we used to join Ravi sir's classes, it was you can say a competition between all the students to answer in the classes and know what we are. Do we know that question or not, and so on stuff. And so we were into too much depth of the knowledge of the subject, and it's really great to have you here, sir. I almost it's like I almost manifested this podcast with you. So thank you for joining in to the Prudent Finance Great Conversations podcast series. So I've spoken a lot. I'll give to you. How are you, sir, and how are you feeling?
Nice, Shubham. Good to see you again. And as we discussed over the email, it's really an honor for me. I love connecting with students, particularly students like yourself. Um, uh, just to give you an update, I continue to teach, but
Okay.
unlike I was a full-time faculty when I taught you. Now I teach at two other institutions.
Yep. Yep.
So I keep my, what do you call, teaching passion going. And it's a great privilege, I feel, that you thought of me of all people.
No, no, sir.
Yes.
It almost was like a sense that I will do the Inception podcast with Ravi sir, and then I was thinking in my mind, okay, I will do it one day, and now it's here. So thank you, sir, for that. Just before that, before we dive into the heart of finance, I have some questions for you. So, could you take us back to the beginning of what first sparked your interest in the world of finance and economics? And was there a defining moment that set you on this path in your journey?
Oh, wow, Shubham. Now you're making me reveal my age, but it's fine. I'm just joking. Okay, so I graduated in the year '82 from St. Stephen's College, Delhi, and as you may very well know, those were the days where we as a country, our economic philosophy was very much socialistic.
Yes,
We didn't
yes.
have liberalization at that time, and as a young man, I grew up watching some of these Hollywood movies,
Hmm,
and
hmm.
it so happened that of course, after my college, I decided to pursue a career in academics. So I was trying to do a PhD in mathematics.
Oh, nice. Yes.
But at that point of time, something life-changing happened, which is there was a movie called The Wall Street,
Hmm,
okay,
hmm.
Michael Douglas film,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
and it encapsulated the economic essence at the time. At the time, just to give you a slightly bigger picture,
Hmm.
Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States, and Margaret Thatcher was the
Yes,
prime minister in the UK. And both these people embarked on a philosophy of deregulating markets.
yes, yes.
Till then, the philosophy was markets need to be monitored very carefully.
Hmm, hmm.
Markets go haywire. And then Ronald Reagan just came, and Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher just opened the doors.
Hmm, hmm,
And
hmm.
that led to a resurgence of trading in Wall Street.
Yes.
And the movie Wall Street encapsulated all that. And then I don't know how many of you or viewers have seen it. It's definitely a movie worth seeing, where Michael Douglas clearly says that greed is good.
Hmm.
And he personifies him and his team of traders. They were like larger than life heroes for people like me. And so I quit academics. I quit my PhD program and started my life as a currency trader in Singapore. So I started trading currencies in Singapore. And then one thing led to the other, and then I just fell in love with it. And I continued till I reached head of treasury and CFO positions.
Oh, nice,
And at
nice.
which point of time,
Hmm,
just to share an anecdote with you,
hmm.
over the course of my finance career, I met many young people like you from good business schools.
Yes, yes.
And I think you know me well enough. But when these trainees used to join my desk, let's put it this way: I could have been more pleasanter. So
Hmm.
one of the things I used to tell them was, "What have you guys learned in business school? You know nothing. You're a waste of my time. I'm not here
Hmm.
to teach you.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
want you
Hmm.
to, you know." So I remember one particular batch. They got up and they said, "What are you going to do about it?"
Hmm.
In a very polite way.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I said, "What do you want me to do about it?" So
Hmm.
I had to go and teach.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so that stayed at the back of my head. And so once I was done with, the world of trading, it's very hard. It burns you out.
Yes. Correct.
Usually, typically, overseas and so on, traders start very young in their late teens, and by the time they're 30, they've either made it big or they've not made it. So,
Hmm.
made it
Hmm.
big as in terms of making money. So
Yes.
they head out to the beach or whatever, or do something else. Whereas being an Indian and all that, so I continued till my early 50s, and then I decided to pursue a passion, my second passion of teaching. So that in brief is the story.
Hmm.
But I must say, in conclusion, that among all the things that I've done so far, academics, trading, treasury management, I happen to be on the board of some mutual funds and so on. Of
Nice.
all the
Nice.
things I've done, I have enjoyed teaching the most, and I continue to enjoy it quite a lot.
Yes, yes, and I think you've done that job quite greatly, sir. In fact, I still remember that the days when the placements season used to start in our colleges, everyone used to like ki Ravi sir ki PDFs kahan hai? Where are those notes? Where are those things? So we need to grab them and learn them and do every such things which I think you taught us, and it showed us the real self of ourselves. That yes, we still don't know a lot of stuff. We still don't know how to use it practically. We still don't know, it's theoretical, but we don't know by definition how to apply it. So it was not a passive learning, it was, I would say, an active learning which formed the best MBA rigor in my life and in many of the students who have been through that batch. So thank you so much, sir, for that as well. Okay, so
That to have made a difference, Shivam. Yeah, go
yes.
ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So again, the next question I would ask you would be from a finance type of a question. It would be, so finance as a discipline has changed dramatically over the years, and from efficient markets to behavioral finance, from analog systems to AI powered models. So what are the most profound shifts you have witnessed in both theory and practice, as you said?
Wonderful. Okay, so Shivam, this goes back to my previous answer. As I said, 1980s onwards were the go-go years, right?
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
Where it was just the Wild West. Greed is
hmm,
good.
hmm,
Regulators didn't bother. They said to use a crude Hindi term, "Jo karna hai karo." But unfortunately, what we human beings, we tend to overdo things, and one of
hmm,
the biggest dangers in finance, more dangerous than an atom bomb, as Warren Buffett says,
hmm.
derivatives are the weapons of mass destruction.
Exactly.
The system got over leveraged. And
Hmm.
because the system got over leveraged, we had so many crises. And the
Hmm.
most notable crisis, which, to answer your question, which changed
Hmm.
modern finance, is the 2009 2010 banking crisis.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
following which, regulators have cracked down heavily on trading.
Hmm.
So the 1980s onwards, traders are greed is good, and
Hmm. Hmm.
Michael Douglas was the hero, and so on. That got binned,
Okay.
and the focus moved more towards, rightly so, the focus moved more towards risk management regulation.
All
So
right. Yes.
bank
Yes.
capital got tightened up
Hmm.
since 9-10 crisis.
Hmm.
The Basel III regulations kicked in.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
We had a new concept called, a too big to fail
Yes.
institution,
Yes. Yes.
and the too
After
big to
layman's.
fail, right? And the too big to fail institutions attracted more scrutiny.
Hmm. Hmm.
How finance has changed, I would say, since 2010, 2011, is that, and increasingly so, the world of finance is moving more towards hedgers,
Hmm.
people who
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
hedging for natural reasons,
Correct. Yes.
and regulation. And hedging comes with a package deal. The hedging package deal is risk management. So when do you decide to hedge or not to hedge? When you have an accurate handle on how to measure your risk, right? So the modern finance, I would say, is hedging stroke risk management, and of course regulation. You find that 2010 onwards, almost every headline you see in the financial press, you do a Google search. Any search you will say, it'll throw up the name of one central bank. You know, the ECB did this, or the Fed did that, or so they've become very, very big players compared to when I was your age, where you never even heard of central banks.
Yes.
You know, they had to go back, jo karna hai karo, all the steps. You know, so I think that's how finance has changed, and in a way, I would say it's good because we can't afford crisis after crisis. We need getting over leveraged is very easy. You and I can also get over leveraged. I can max out my credit cards. You know, and we all know it's a huge social problem as well. Right? So, which we have seen in India. You must have seen the SEBI report last year.
Yes,
where
a lot of
in tier 2, tier 3 cities, people who don't understand derivatives are leveraging themselves.
Yes,
and there have been huge losses. So leverage has been the biggest problem of the deregulated years. So essentially, the focus on keeping enough capital, which in turn reduces your leverage. At all points of time, identifying your risks and quantifying them and hedging them.
Yes,
I think that is how finance has evolved. And my last sentence on this would be, you know, something more colloquial. This is something I like to use in my risk management classes. I think now modern finance professionals can be called doctors. You know, like you go to a doctor for a cure. For a headache or whatever, you know, or even for a cosmetic makeup. You now visit a finance professional either to reorganize your cash flows to make it less risky rather and make it more efficient.
Yes.
You visit risk management to get the doctor to prescribe your adequate capital, how much equity, how much how much debt, how much mezzanine funding, how much convertibles, so on and so forth. Your IPO decision, and so on and so forth. So I would say the modern finance professional, in thought and in action, resembles what doctors do. They prescribe. They're more, rather than traders. They deal with a particular problem. And one of the golden rules in medicine always is prevention is better than cure. So what finance professionals of late need to do is to identify potential problems and prescribe solutions to it.
Yes.
And you know, so I think that is how finance has evolved. Long answer, but I would say just to summarize, from reckless risk taking, we have now moved towards more quantified, controlled risk taking.
Yes.
And
yes.
What is good to see is regulators being more active. I'll just give you one example.
Yes.
In India, last couple of months or so, one of the private sector banks, IndusInd Bank, has been in the news. And all along, it's for a person who's been in financial markets like me for 40 odd years, what was good to see is the regulator being fully in control of what is going on. You know, and one of the amazing things that some of your listeners or viewers would like to see, compared to Yes Bank, we had a crisis in Yes Bank.
Yes, correct.
The stock price fell from 300 to 20 in a couple of days.
Yes.
In a couple of days it fell. But in IndusInd Bank, even though the crisis, in my opinion, is even bigger because the insider trading and rest of it.
Yes.
The share price has been stable. Deposit levels have been stable. So it just goes to prove that good regulation, you know, with the central bank, you know, being very compared to Yes Bank, The
Hmm.
RBI has been more proactive when it came to the IndusInd saga.
Hmm.
So it has
Hmm.
led to a lot more stability. It's led to a lot more smoother process,
Yes.
rather
Yes.
than share price falling from 300 to 20, which is traumatic for everyone.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And I think in this case as well, which I studied, was that overall the people are now believing that yes, the regulator can save the bank, and there are tactics which can be done. As seeing Yes Bank as an example, so they were seeing that okay, the government won't let the bank fail. So I think that would also matter. And yeah, you are correct. The regulator is so in depth, the bank's histories, the books, and everything, that yes, people are not like risking, or people are not panicking as they panicked in Yes Bank as well, because they know that the regulator will do something for that. On the similar lines, this was my personal question which I wanted to ask you as well, as to like in couple of months you have seen quite some gray rhino events, some uncertainties and so on as well, where we have seen like a lot of things are happening on consumption side in India. So RBI and both the government are focusing on increasing the liquidity either through bonds or something. So how do you see that step, and where will it step through India in the growth trajectory? Seeing the GDP numbers were like, although they were the fastest, we were the fastest growing economy in all of the world, but we were still slower on the fourth year low. So that's my question, that how it will boost our economy, as well as you talked about the leverage part, that would it actually benefit, or would it only benefit if it's utilized properly, to be honest to say.
Okay. Great question, Shubham.
Hmm.
If you look at I'll just deviate a little bit and then come to your question
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
India.
Hmm. Hmm.
If you look at the very successful economies, right? You
Hmm.
take
Hmm.
the US economy,
Hmm. Yes.
take some of the European economies, or take
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
Australian economy,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
on one side, and you take
Hmm.
India and China on the other.
Hmm. Hmm.
The Western economies have grown, and their GDPs have grown,
Hmm.
largely driven by personal consumption.
Okay. Okay.
Largely driven by, I mean, it's like it's personal consumption that has driven their economies. Of course,
Hmm.
also backed by industrialization and so on and so forth.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Now, if you look at India and China,
Hmm. Hmm.
what has happened, what basically has happened, what we are seeing also
Hmm.
is okay. There was a consumption boom post 2022,
Hmm.
post
Hmm.
COVID.
Hmm.
There was
Hmm.
a huge burst of consumption.
Hmm.
Everybody was buying four-wheelers, and everybody was buying ACs and so on and so forth.
Yes.
What was called revenge shopping.
Hmm.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
what you find last 2-3 months, Shubham, I feel data in India is slightly alarming. I'll just give
Okay.
you one data point.
Yes.
Maruti announced their results 2 days
Hmm.
ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
if you look at the results, and if you
Hmm.
look at the management commentary,
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
Mr. Bhargav, the chairman, said
Hmm.
is that
Hmm.
they are seeing not only a fall in the small car segment,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is the bulk of demand in our country.
Hmm.
See, Maruti and Hero motorcycles, according to me,
Hmm.
are a good barometer of the consumption story in India.
Yes. Correct.
Okay, every student wants
Hmm.
to buy a motorbike,
Hmm.
and he or she will buy a motorbike or a two-wheeler if they can afford it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And similarly, when it comes to a four-wheeler, most people buy a small car, and
Yes. Mid
typically a
segment.
Maruti, right?
Hmm.
So 2 days ago, as I mentioned, the Maruti chairman highlighted it. He said
Hmm.
that basically we are seeing a alarming fall in the small car segment, and
Hmm.
so much so that they are actually slowing down production.
Hmm.
Okay, now
Hmm.
this trend has been this growth, this falling growth in small cars has been on since, I would say, the end of 2023. So about 4-5 quarters now, I've been tracking Maruti. The small car segment has been falling.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, what has been sustaining Maruti has been the growth in the high end, the SUVs and the
Oh.
Nexa cars and so on and so forth.
Hmm. Hmm.
What I found this time, this particular quarter results, the chairman didn't mention that.
Hmm.
But if you look at this quarter's sales results, even
Hmm.
the sales of SUVs,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
high end, 15
Hmm.
lakh plus
Hmm. Hmm.
Maruti,
Hmm. Hmm.
SUVs, Brezzas and
Yes.
the
Yes.
Vitaras and
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
That is flatlining.
Okay.
So what that is showing is essentially, okay, with consumption was a huge issue among the middle class in India. I'm just
Yes.
using Maruti's small
Yeah.
car as a parameter. Now, what you're also seeing is the so-called affluent section consumption is slowing down. And if I may say so, and I mean it well, you know that we all love our country. We want our country to do extremely well.
Correct.
I'll just
Yes.
give you one more data point.
Hmm.
We are now in the financial year 25-26.
Yes. Yes.
And in February, we got the union budget for this financial year. Our biggest import, as you know, is oil. And in the budget papers, if you see, the government of India had penciled in a base rate. Oil is quoted in dollars. They had taken a base rate of $80 a barrel.
But I see
Today
WTI.
we are at 52. So they had assumed a base rupee dollar rate of 88. Today the rupee is 85 something. So very basic mathematics tells you that there is sufficient ground to lower diesel and petrol prices. It's a little, purely speaking from an financial analyst point of view, it's extremely frustrating. Just now, as we are speaking, the authorities in India can switch on the consumption switch. Petrol, which is now 110 or 103 rupees at the bunk, can easily become 80 rupees. A 20 rupee cut in petrol will do wonders to consumption in India.
Yes.
It will just give a tremendous boost to the stock market. It will just create a wave of what Dr. Manmohan Singh used to call animal spirits. So essentially, I think as someone put it very well, China is what it is because of the government. So I think the consumption, and see, it's not just you and me talking about it. I mean, there are very smart people in the finance ministry. There are very smart people in government. I'm sure they know what to do. I think so.
Yes.
I think if the consumption story does not pick up, I think by the end of this quarter, June 30th, and the financial results that we will see, companies will start disclosing the first quarter results middle of July onwards.
Yes.
We will definitely see the government taking some action. And as we speak, day after tomorrow, RBI is expected to definitely cut the repo rate by 25 basis points. There are some analysts who even believe a 50 basis points is warranted simply because inflation has fallen. Retail inflation is about 3.5%. The inflation level is comfortable. There's no need for the repo rate to be at 6%. Even if with a repo rate at 5%, it will be sufficient to maintain, inflation at these levels.
Coming to that point as well, if we compare India and China story, so nowadays people are considering China +1 strategy, where many of the big like Mag 7s as well and other companies which are trying to shift to India as a manufacturing hub, and also thinking that okay, they should register their LLCs here as well. So I just wanted to know from your perspective, like what should we as a country also improve in basically providing that semi-skilled type of a labor to them, because obviously in skilled labor we are also good. We are providing a lot of IT services to the US and other countries, Europe and so on, but we need to still gain up that semi-skilled tooling part of our labor which should be there, which will I think give a boost to our economy. So I just wanted to know like how in coming, like let's say a decade, or how we say that 2047 which we talk about, what should be the major scenarios we should be looking forward to compete like a country with China?
Okay, another good question, Shubham. As usual, I have a slightly, I hope it's a different type of answer. Okay, you started by, asking about China. China, 1980 onwards, what did they do? They called themselves the factory of the world. Factory of the world means basically they manufactured cheaply. And they manufactured cheaply because they had very cheap labor. And they continue to have very cheap labor. Now, coming back to your question about companies shifting manufacturing bases in India and so on and so forth. In my very humble opinion, I think the horse has left the barn. There's no point closing the barn door now after the horse is bolted. I think the manufacturing, to be honest, I think we in India we have lost the game. China so far ahead, Vietnam, all these countries, in terms of supply chain, importantly. Okay. Now, if you're taking an iPhone, for instance, what we are doing in India is basically screwing things together. Most of the parts are still coming from China and Taiwan and Vietnam. But what a Tesla or a cutting edge company needs is a localized supply chain. Now, why has Tesla? 2 days ago, the industry minister told us that Tesla has decided against manufacturing in India. Now, why is that happen? I mean, we are such a big market, and why is a company like Tesla saying I cannot manufacture in India? For the simple reason, some 4,000 odd parts go into an electric vehicle. An electric vehicle or an iPhone is an epitome of global supply chains. You get parts coming from all over, and so why would companies move to China for the simple reason end-to-end supply chain was guaranteed, including rare earth minerals that these people needed. So, I mean, my simple argument would be: let's not chase the manufacturing dream. Let's not do a cut paste of what China did. What are our strengths? As you mentioned, we are, I believe, thanks to the huge competition in our education system, 1.4 billion people, a huge young population, we have very talented people. And our cutting edge is in services.
Yes.
So, if we can beef up our education system to provide thought leadership, we talked about risk management some time ago. It's a crying need of the financial system globally. You have somebody in a Vietnamese bank who wants a good risk manager. You have somebody sitting in a Venezuelan bank wanting risk management capabilities. See, look at medicine. Now, thanks to COVID, we have a new concept called telemedicine. You have doctors sitting in small places in India advising clients abroad. Right? I personally know of people, family, friends, and so on, where young people, someone your age, is actually doing tuition classes for American students because we are so good at mathematics.
Yes.
And you can do it online. So I think our strength lies in services.
Yes.
And it's something that we should actively develop. And to do that, we really need to beef up our educational system. And how do you beef up educational system? And this is something that is close to my heart. I might sound a little bitter about it, but I have now been a teacher for 15 years. And to put it very mildly, it's been a very frustrating experience for the simple reason, according to UGC, which is a regulator for higher education in India, you got to have a PhD. You don't grow otherwise.
Okay.
I am exactly where I was 15 years ago in terms of salary, in terms of position, in terms of everything. You understand what I'm saying? But you look at Singapore. You look at some of my colleagues who I work with in Singapore. Singapore, the Singapore Business School or the Singapore University actually gives positions to people with industry experience and treats them on par. I'm just giving you my humble experience. But what I'm talking about is, let's say you talk about specialized fields like precision machining or chip designing, where you have some fantastic engineers, who work for a Siemens or a Philips or whatever, and who can actually teach. And if salaries improve and job prospects improve, you could have some 40-year-olds and 45-year-olds who've done cutting-edge technological stuff, moving into education and giving our youngsters, the right kind of foundation to create a service economy.
Yes.
See, having, I think some small steps are being taken in this regard.
Hmm.
2-3 years ago, UGC started a scheme called a Professor of Practice,
Okay.
where people can be appointed from the industry. But there again, the results are mixed.
Hmm.
It's not exactly been a roaring success as of now. But
Hmm.
like Dr. Manmohan Singh liberalized the economy, I think
Hmm.
the crying need in India is to liberalize the education sector.
Yes,
Just,
correct.
just
I
open it
agree.
out. Just open it out. And the other thing is, if I may say so, your cohort, Shubham,
Hmm.
I find, and my advice to be, you should insist on your rights.
Hmm.
What I find is many students, they say, okay, kya kare, okay,
Hmm.
1 out of 4 teachers is good, theek hai,
Hmm.
chalega, But 4
Hmm.
should be good.
Hmm.
People are paying hard-earned money. The
Hmm.
education in India is not cheap.
Yes, correct.
So this is what I tell my students as well. I mean, you
Hmm.
should stand up if you feel you're not getting the right kind of
Hmm.
input. At least
Hmm.
you should let the authorities know what is happening.
Hmm.
So that okay, maybe your batch would suffer, but then the other person would. Okay. Long story short, I
Hmm.
think we should focus more on services and not just see
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
we started services in India. Okay,
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
all the outsourcing wave and so on and so forth. It was
Hmm.
very much back office, back end stuff.
Yes, I
Now
know
you
that.
look at your own what you high end stuff.
Hmm.
You're
Hmm.
talking to American customers.
Hmm.
You're doing derivative pricing. You're
Hmm. Hmm.
you're, you're doing capital
Hmm.
adequacy
Hmm.
calculation for banks.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
why can't that be expanded? Why I mean, if I may say so, why is it only foreign firms that are doing it in India? Why not Indian firms?
Hmm.
So I think that boom is I think
Yes.
is what I think will ignite us. We should forget about the market manufacturing side of things. We can do time in history where we have the record young population in India.
Hmm.
If we can educate them and more importantly motivate them correctly,
Hmm. Hmm.
it'll go a very very long way. And having said so much, one of the pointers for me at least
Hmm.
last I would say 8 years, the Indian Union budget,
Hmm.
the allocation for education
Hmm.
has remained the same, if not
Hmm.
fallen.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not talking about MBA, I'm not talking about engineering students. We're talking
Hmm.
about fourth standard, fifth standard kids in villages, whose talent is going unrecognized.
Yes. Yes.
If the government, I think the government is.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe that even if like manufacturing has to be improved, the kind of skills or the kind of things comes from education itself. So till the time we do not like improve our education and improve the budget for that and improve the extra commitment towards that, I guess we will not be able to improve other sectors. And if we want to improve that, then I think that education is the most important part which has to be contributed first as a stepping stone, and then only we can move ahead and like compete with other nations as well. All
Absolutely.
right,
As,
yes.
as somebody put it, Saraswati comes before Lakshmi.
Yes, yes, correctly. All right, sir. So coming to the next question, which I had, it's related to this only. So if you were to rewrite the finance curriculum today from scratch, what are the top three things you would add or remove to better prepare the students for the next 30 years?
Wow. Okay. Wow. Great question. Okay. See, okay. So I am taking the little privilege here, knowing that you are an ex-student of mine.
Mm-hmm.
One of my objections to my fellow colleagues,
Hmm.
as you know, I only taught students in the second year.
Yes, yes.
I would have loved to teach students the day they entered business school. But then whatever. It's just that I think, which again proves my point. It's only people with industry experience who are competent to teach the tougher subjects in second year, not the traditional academics. Of course, there are exceptions, but I'm talking in general. Okay, so let's take a MBA finance student. I mean, from any good, uh,
Hmm.
any good,
B school.
any good business school.
Hmm.
Or take, since you and I have the business school background in common, I'm giving that as an example.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Day one,
Hmm.
class number one,
Hmm.
9 a.m. Class
Hmm.
begins.
Hmm.
First question. Okay, you guys have chosen an MBA. Great decision.
Hmm.
What makes a business? One session.
Yes.
Okay, so okay, the answer is obviously
Yes. A lot of
capital.
things which is.
You need capital. Capital
Hmm.
to start with. Only
Hmm.
capital. Only when you have capital, you can start something.
Hmm.
Then,
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
course, you need to have an idea. Then you
Hmm.
need to have a process. So things get
Hmm.
built one on top of the
You
other.
need to
So
re-engineer it properly and so on.
right.
Yes.
So rather than have a student walk into a business school
Hmm.
and the teacher goes macroeconomics 1.1, GDP
Hmm.
is this, or
Hmm.
money circulation formula is this.
Hmm.
All right, but how is it relevant? Why should I know it?
Hmm.
But if
Hmm.
you put the, if you, what unfortunately what we're doing is we're putting the cart before the bullock. The
Hmm.
bullock is pushing the cart, poor thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whereas the
Hmm.
bullock should be in front of the cart.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, and now, okay, and students decide to take finance.
Hmm.
Okay, first question, what is finance? And this is a
Hmm.
question I ask now in my class these days. Okay, you guys have taken finance.
Hmm.
It's a great decision.
Hmm.
I'm here
Hmm.
to help you, but I want to know what you think finance is. And
Hmm.
most people give the answer, finance is handling money.
Hmm.
Okay, fine. So you mean a cashier's job is finance? It's not.
No.
Ah, Shubham Mittal, it's not. He doesn't handle cash, but he's doing
Hmm.
finance.
Hmm.
So what is finance? Finance
Yes.
just deals with information.
Yes.
Finance deals
Yes.
with incentives.
Correct.
Finance, so we study derivatives, we look at macroeconomics to get
Hmm.
some idea which way prices are moving, which way, what the trends are.
Hmm.
A little while ago, we talked about the trend in Maruti, the leading car maker.
Hmm. Hmm.
Small car sales are falling off the cliff. Two-wheeler sales are stalling.
Hmm. We actually
SUVs. So
try
it
to.
tells me that the
Hmm.
economy is stalling.
Hmm.
So it's all about the information. It's about
Hmm.
incentives,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So essentially, that's, I think the entire first trimester or the first semester should be on getting students on the same page. Why we study what we study,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know?
Yes.
And of course, very, very importantly, I think we should also have a lot of emphasis on liberal arts.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
See, okay, I know I'm putting it very crudely.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
I don't know if you, I hope you'll agree with me, or your batchmates or people who are listening or watching to this will agree with me. What an MBA does, in my opinion, from the
Hmm.
other side of the table,
Hmm.
is that MBA tells you, forget about your talents.
Hmm.
I'm here to build your confidence.
Correct.
I will teach you all kinds of exotic things. I'll try and build your confidence so that you will get placed.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whereas it should be, I'm here to develop your talents.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you develop your talents, I don't have to worry about your confidence. You
Yes.
will become
Yes.
confident.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
will become confident, right? So how do you make a student develop their talent? So you have students coming through graduation. People come from various backgrounds, engineers. We have also had students who have done BA in English. We have had people who have studied psychology.
Hmm.
We've also had people who have done dentistry and so on and so forth.
Yes.
They come
Yes.
from different backgrounds. So I
Yes.
think at this MBA level, the first trimester is to tell people कि भाई these are the challenges, and they understand yourself.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just understand yourself. So what is business? No, what am I going to teach you?
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
to run? How to open a business? How capital decisions are so important.
Correct.
Capital also includes human capital, which is
Hmm.
HR.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Why risk management is so important?
Hmm.
And all
Hmm.
of us as human beings, we like bad stories. So
Yes. Yes.
to answer your question, I will have one entire subject in the first semester
Hmm.
talking about disasters.
Hmm.
What went wrong with Barings?
Hmm.
Why
Hmm.
did Lehman Brothers collapse?
Yes, that's important.
What happened to Yes Bank?
Hmm.
Or what is happening in IndusInd Bank?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
This is the reality.
Hmm.
And now come, let's learn how to fix it.
Nice.
So in the second semester, third semester, fourth semesters, by the end of first semester, people know where their talents are. I'm here to develop your talent. So I think that that emphasis somehow has to change. You know,
Yes.
as you know, I used to also manage placements in symbiosis.
Hmm.
My
Hmm.
philosophy always was placement is a byproduct.
Hmm. Hmm.
It cannot be number one. So you can't design your subjects in such a way
Hmm.
starts asking questions on trade policy or something. Then
Yes.
will you
Yes.
then start teaching trade policy? Are you chasing something or are you creating something?
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so long answer to your question. First semester, discover yourself. I'll call that entire semester discover yourself. I will
Hmm.
teach you liberal arts. I will
Hmm.
teach you behavioral finance. I will teach you psychology. I will teach you
Hmm.
finance. I
Hmm.
will teach you marketing.
Yes. Yes.
End of semester one, you will decide what your talent is, and I will also
Nice.
help you find your own talents. It's very
Hmm.
easy. If I
Hmm.
got good
Hmm.
marks in a particular subject, obviously I'm good at it,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? And so that will be the way to develop the skill. And also, more importantly, I think we should have compulsorily in the specialization semesters, we should also have one or two cross specialization subjects.
Yes, that I
You
believe
know,
so. Yes.
yeah. So, for instance, when you guys fourth semester, you did fixed income, you did valuation, you did all
Hmm.
hardcore finance subjects.
Hmm.
You should also maybe do a subject on, sociology, or subject, one paper on.
Like I personally wanted to learn supply chains or something interacted with that, because nowadays, like to build a semiconductor or something, even if you are in a finance industry, you need to know how the marketeer is coming in, how the
True,
parts are selling, and so on. So we need
true,
to know the market before diving into the numbers and so on. So yeah.
true. Absolutely, absolutely true. And see, end of the day, I think a good MBA program is
Hmm.
is one which stimulates discussion.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
according to me, a good class is one which creates more questions than answers.
Hmm. Hmm.
You sit
Hmm.
in class and you come out and say, "Oh my God, I got to figure out what's going on now.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't understand what's going on. I need to
Hmm.
figure it out." And
Hmm.
the student will then be forced to go to the library or to the Bloomberg or to read newspapers or to
Yes.
ask
Yes.
someone,
Hmm.
"भाई
Hmm.
क्या हो रहा है? आपको
Hmm.
क्या
Hmm.
लगता है?"
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't understand what is going on.
Hmm.
Whereas if you just say, "Hey, this is the formula, this is the Excel, this is the answer," you know it.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
How does it stimulate? How does it stimulate out of the box thinking?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
That,
Hmm.
I think that is. See, I'll just take a few minutes more, Shubham.
Yes.
One
Yes.
of the
Yes.
things I'm passionate about really is, if I may say so, I mean, it's a reality. What has happened is our education system is the one put in place by colonialists, by the
Hmm.
British.
Hmm.
And their objective for educating Indians was very simple.
Hmm.
They wanted people who will follow the rules,
Hmm. Hmm.
who will mug up things, and for the rest
Hmm.
of their life keep doing the same thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whereas before the British came,
Hmm.
what was our system? If you go back, the person who created the education system in India is a person called Lord Macaulay.
Okay. Hmm.
Lord Macaulay came during the East India Company time, but the East India Company could not win the loyalty of Indians.
Hmm.
It could not win the loyalty of Indians because we had a different education system. And our
Hmm.
education system was a Gurukul system,
Hmm.
where the Guru was the boss. The Guru decided, people talk about caste system in India and all that.
Hmm.
Okay, it's got politicized and so on. Let's not go there.
Hmm.
But the caste system, if you look at its truest form,
Hmm.
the Guru decided the caste system.
Hmm.
The Brahman
Hmm.
was a person who never followed material possessions.
Hmm. Hmm.
The Brahman would get up in the morning and say, Bhagavati Bhikshan Dehi.
Hmm.
I'm here to teach you. I don't
Hmm.
have anything.
Hmm.
Give me food to eat for today. Tomorrow is
Hmm.
another day.
Hmm.
So that class was the intellectual class. They were
Hmm.
the intellectual class only propagated knowledge.
Yes.
Then you had the server, people who served others. Our system was not meant to segregate. But if you look at the Vedas, if you look at our ancient scriptures,
Yes.
so a young boy went to a Gurukul, and the Guru decided whether you should be a Brahman, an intellectual, or we should be a warrior, or you should be a person who serves society. So there are three main divisions. And the East India Company was unable to win Indians' loyalty simply because we had such a strong education system and people followed their talents. I'm a talented intellectual. I did intellectual work. And so Lord Macaulay came to India and started this education system, which copied what the British do. And what has it done over the last, I don't know, 150 years now? It's public. We all have degrees. I mean, okay, some of us are, of course, exceptions. But the majority of the education system, I'm sure, let's not be hypocritical here. You wish the system was much better. Why is it that in the old Gurukul system, the best people in society were gurus? To be called a guru was an honor. Now, but in my humble experience too, 14, 15 years of teaching, the whole thinking has to change. Hopefully your generation has got exposure globally. If I may say so, you guys have had a slightly better economic background than what we had. For us, it was lower middle class, you were struggling, you were standing in a ration shop and you don't know whether aaj batti jalegi ki nahi. There was no question of a telephone, right? You relied totally on public transport. And that's the generation we guys grew up in. We are used to scarcity. So for our generation, that is your parents' generation, it was about being secure.
Yes.
I just want to be secure. That's it. So sarkari naukari and the rest of it, But your generation, you guys have had a taste of affluence, right? You had creature comfort. You had AC at home. You got dropped in school, right? You went to a good business school, right? So the opportunity now exists to actually radically rethink. I think your generation, I'm very confident that you will really, really take India in a totally good and different direction, simply because of the awareness.
Yes. All right. So coming, it was such an eye opener, especially for the education system thing which you talked about. Yes, I too believe that truly we need something that innovates in our education system, which will overall be a byproduct of what we want. Like whether it's startups, whether it's services, whether it's anything. If India invests a lot in its education, and if India lets people even fail in some startups or some things, and make sure that their research, make sure that their studies, make sure that the teachers who are teaching them are basically compensated for properly, and they are given the time and you can say control as well on the subject as to what they want to teach and how they want to teach. I think we can achieve what we are going forward for. So thank you for that insight, sir. One more thing which I wanted to know, which is in continuation to this one, and then I think a couple of questions and we can do it. So does money after a certain level matter a lot? Once if it does, like what level if it does that, what is the number thing which matters? So, and also I have also reached out by a lot of not students but people, and most of the time we are feeling somewhat a pressure of like money generation, how we'll be how we will invest. What do you believe, that does money matter after a certain number, or does success has a separate goal to itself?
Wow, great question. Okay, so let me go back. I'll take about 5 minutes to answer this, slightly long answer. When I was your age, I had the same doubts, right? And I did a lot of reading and met a lot of people, asked them, and so on and so forth. Also, I've had the privilege of working abroad and living in different countries and getting some idea. We're talking about places like Singapore and London, right? Now, in the G7 countries, the absolute minimum to have a comfortable life is $1 million US.
Oh.
Okay, so that is considered like a safe level.
That is,
If
you're
you have
talking
$1
about
million,
the after
like,
retirement.
yeah, you made it. You
Okay.
kind of, then you can, whatever, whatever else you want to do is fine.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
which is why the $1 million has so much of a mystique in American culture and, but if you apply the same logic to India, and I've done my calculations, I've also done several courses on personal financial planning actually. The amount is $500,000.
Okay.
Now, it sounds good, but there's bad news here. The bad news is rupee keeps depreciating every year.
Yes.
So $500,000 in my time was 40 rupees a dollar. $500,000 was 2 crores.
Yes.
Now $500,000 is 4.5 crores. So, but in India, if you okay, now that is one number I think definitely worth chasing. $500,000, so roughly about 5 crores. If you have 5 crores and you put your money in bank deposit, okay, and then assuming you lead a decent life, not that you're swigging scotch every day or going to 5-star every day. I mean, a decent life, eating out once a week, one vacation a year abroad, reasonable life.
Yes.
$500,000 is enough. Now comes the $1 million question. How do I get to $500,000? Okay, there is where the finance comes in. No, let me quote a great person. It's not my quotation. Albert Einstein said, "The eighth wonder of the world is the power of compounding."
Yes. Yes.
Now, I would urge you or people who are listening or watching to this to do a very simple calculation. Open an SIP for 10,000 rupees every month. Choose any good SIP, the top 5 funds. It doesn't matter, all 5 are equal in terms of returns. We're talking about 1,20,000 rupees a year.
Yes.
Today is doable. Okay? You put in 10,000, I'm just giving you a number 10,000, then you can scale it up or down.
Yes.
Let's say you put in an SIP for 15 years. Put in an SIP for 10,000 rupees. And most of the good mutual funds, if you go to valueresearch.com and all that, you can do the simulation. 10,000 rupees a month for 15 years.
Yes.
Would give you north of 12 crores return. So let's say you start at the age of 24, let's say, 4-5 years after graduation. 24. By the time you're 40, you got 10 crore plus. What do you need? You need 5 crores. Okay, so what is the moral of the story? All this is finance. Okay, now you might say, okay, 10,000 bahut zyada hota hai, I can't save 10,000. Fine, 5,000 rupees.
Yes.
You still end up with 7.5 crores after 15 years.
But does that take the inflation also part into play?
Yeah, okay. Another great question. Shubham, inflation is relative. I don't mean to sound condescending, but your inflation is different from mine.
Yes.
So the government of India publishes inflation numbers, which is general. And what does government of India inflation figures include? It includes rent. It includes transportation. It includes school fees. I don't have all that. I have my own house. My inflation is different. You understand what I'm saying? So as you grow, okay, another very, very important thing is to, whatever happens, take a housing loan. Just take an housing loan. You get tax benefits.
Yes.
Now many of my students come to me and say, what are you saying? How can I buy a house in Colaba? How can I buy a house in Nariman? You can't. But Colaba and Nariman Point were villages 50 years ago. Okay, no, in Bangalore, just to give you, there are places in the outskirts of Bangalore, Anekal, Chandapura, Hoskote. Okay, now India, the infrastructure growth has been tremendous, as you know, the highways and so on. The connectivity is improved like anything. Metro has also come in.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. You buy a house in the outskirts.
Yes, correct.
So by the time, in 15 years' time, the city would have overgrown that place.
Yes. Just like Ali Bagh has been coming in place.
There you go.
The next Mumbai.
Look at Navi Mumbai. Around the time when I used to live in, or you take even Delhi, I don't mean to sound condescending.
Hmm.
When I was a student in St. Stephen's, you said Shadara or you said Saket, we said, "Arey baap re, Haryana jana padega." And you said Gurgaon, "Arey nahi aata hai yaar, wo Haryana mein hai." Now Gurgaon and Delhi are one. Noida and Delhi are one. Noida in my time, Noida you said was a day trip. You had to take a bus to Central Secretariat, then change a bus in Delhi border, then get down there, change a UP transport bus.
Yes, and now it's improved a lot. Like,
right? So, see, urbanization is India is rapidly urbanizing. So, importantly, take a housing loan. You may not live there, but in 15 years' time, once you repaid the loan, you have enough capital appreciation. And gold and real estate are the only true hedges in India against inflation. And so, it gives you tax benefits. It gives you a hedge against inflation. Many employers give subsidized loans for housing.
Yes.
Right. So if you start an SIP, I would say 10K. I'm not saying 15K. I'm saying 10K. 10K is doable in my opinion. Okay, 10K बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, at least 5. So somewhere in the 5 to 10K range, open an SIP in a multi-cap fund, flexi-cap fund.
And that too with growth, or like only 5K?
Growth option, no dividend. You keep on reinvesting. Growth option. Forget about it for 15.
Okay.
Similarly, take a housing loan. Service it over 12 years, 15 years. So by the time you're 40, you have a house and you have your $500,000. You decide what you want to do.
Yes.
Now I'll offer I'll go back to the first question you asked me. I have always believed that the best investment is an investment in knowledge. So in these 15 years, you invested in a house, you invested in SIP, but keep investing in knowledge. Keep up to date with what's happening. You will always get a job as a teacher. I mentioned some time ago it's frustrating and all that, but I'm reasonably confident I will get employed in any business school.
Yes.
I'm very confident because if you have the knowledge, if you have the skills, if you have the communication skills, if you have the ability to motivate youngsters, that's what the education institutions want. And we talked about it a little while ago, there's going to be a huge boom in education in India. It's coming. It's definitely happening. Okay, there were some disasters like Byju's and all that, but these are starting teething troubles. Every industry, there'll be one or two disasters. Only then the industry matures. So I would say that would be so. Okay, to long answer to your question. In India, chase $500,000. The problem with that is it's a moving goalpost because rupee keeps depreciating.
Yes.
So in 15 years' time, 1 rupee could even be 140 to the dollar. So you're talking about $500,000 to be 7 crores. So let's have a ballpark of about 7 crores by the time you're 40. So that can be achieved if you put in about 7K every month in a growth scheme, in a good mutual fund.
Yes.
And 7K, and see, there are shortcuts, right? I used to do it quite a lot. Okay. Whenever the company had lunch or dinner, I would just go. Paisa bach gaya mera. Company is giving me transportation, I will just take it.
Yes.
Okay, it's uncomfortable. The vans are smelly. All that is there. But I'm saving money. Okay, company asks me to do something, I will just go. They say go to Timbuktu or go to Vietnam. I'll go because I get traveling allowance. I get hotel allowance. Wherever I can save money, I will save money. And I can afford to do that when I'm single and I'm a bachelor. Right? Okay. And just to give you a very small anecdote, when I was roughly your age and I was working in London, unashamedly I would go to the Hare Krishna temple.
Okay.
Gurudwara we used to go. Khana milta tha. I'm saying it, I mean, after all these years, I know it sounds very matuli. Acha khana, fresh khana, khalo, are you saving money? Right? If you develop that mindset, then after 40 you're the king. You can decide what you want to do.
Yes.
You can teach, you can continue with your career, you can go for higher studies, do what you want. You're comfortable.
And basically, success won't define the amount of money like your colleague might have.
See, money is all relative. Money is a means to an end. Beyond the point, just see what also happens is I have this discussion with my peer group. Okay, there are some people, including my younger brother. Rightly or wrongly, he believed in acquiring property. Okay, he has commercial property, and for him, it's a headache. He's constantly worried people are encroaching, or constantly worried wo paisa nahi dega, or he's constantly worried worried, that guy is not going to vacate or something or the other, See, कितना चाहिए? एक घर चाहिए for you to live. ठीक है. Okay. You want to invest in one more house? ठीक है. Maximum 2 houses. Because you might want to gift a house to your child. And simply because if you take a housing loan in India, you get a lot of tax benefits. So you repay the first housing loan, there's an incentive for you to take the second one as well. And now most couples are, both of them are working. So both of them take housing loans. So end of the day, by the time you're 40, the couple has 2 houses. एक house में rent मिलेगा आपको. और कितना चाहिए? Why do you want 4 houses, 5 houses? It doesn't, see, beyond a point, money doesn't make it. Money only creates worries, according to me. And okay, one last observation about money. Money is useful only when you spend it. Many people I know, they are crorepati's. They have what, 20, 30, 40, whatever. वो stock में पड़ा है, bank में पड़ा है. How are you using it? And most of these people, because they constantly chase money all their lives, their health is not great, and the money goes into hospital bills and rubbish like that.
Yes.
Whereas you should have a sense of balance. Money should never be the topmost priority. Acquiring knowledge should be the topmost priority. And end of the day, look at it this way: all of us are going to die one day. What do you want people to say? Oh, both kamaya? Or you say he was a great human being? Yes, he or she was a great human being. Your child should say, my parents were wonderful.
Yes.
Your cousins, your nephews, your nieces, that's what makes it different. So beyond a point, money has no value. I think absolutely no value. It simply makes no sense. Go back to what I said. In our Vedas, what is the meaning of the word Brahman? Brahman is a person who has seen Brahma. So he is Brahman. What is Brahma? Brahma says, boss, look for the day. Kamane se kya hoga? You look at the birds singing on the trees. The most free living beings I've seen in this planet of birds. They can go anywhere.
Yes.
Subah they sit on top of the tree, gana ga rahe hain, and they don't have any possessions. For them it's today. The sun is shining, they're singing. Tomorrow is another day. So if you read the Vedas, you read the Bhagavad Gita, the attainment of Brahman. I was abroad recently. They're having workshops on Vedas, how to attain Brahman. Yeah, so material, you look at it this way. I don't want to give you so many. Take IndusInd Bank. The CEO and the deputy CEO, okay, who have been called as cheats by SBI, used to work for me. Okay, and I used to advise them, why are you guys so obsessed about money? They were constantly fighting, increment chahiye, bonus chahiye, ye chahiye. I said, why don't you spend more time on developing your knowledge? In my opinion, it's come down to people giving too much emphasis on, see, money is important. You need money. Tomorrow, if a friend calls me and says, yeah, I need an operation, I don't have money, I should be in a position to help him or her. So that doesn't mean I should have 20 crores. It's not needed. If you have India में साथ है बहुत है, by the time you're 40, उस time एक घर भी होगा. And आजकल even my time गाड़ी was essential. You needed a car. अभी नहीं, you don't need metros. Very good everywhere. But you need a गाड़ी. गाड़ी is actually a pain. It's impossible to drive also. Now you have Uber and Ola and everything. You can get, you want a Mercedes, it will come to your doorstep. Why do you need a गाड़ी? You need a car. And I would rather advise youngsters that your children, your next generation, teach them well. That doesn't mean sending them to expensive schools and all that, but you spend time with them. Show them great books, show them great movies, talk to them about our culture, which they don't learn in school. Make them great human beings.
Yes. All right, sir. So coming to our final question of the podcast, which I received from a lot of audiences, and I have received it from a lot of students as well. So it's basically in the world of banking and finance, how to become a CFO or a CEO with the knowledge you have pertaining to, with all the resources you have. What is your take on how to approach it? And how to approach your knowledge towards it, whether it should be building something or whether it should be building an alliance or giving the quality services which you are taking in.
Okay. Again, excellent question. See, in my opinion,
and you can quote some great CFOs or CEOs as well, which you liked.
Absolutely. And if I may say so, I've been sounding like a complete show off, but I have also had CFO positions in 2 companies.
Oh, nice.
So See, essentially it's like this. A CFO stroke CEO position is the position of someone who is extremely well experienced. Okay. So let's start at the beginning. So let's say 20 years down the road, it's a position that every youngster should aspire. Nothing wrong with that. You should aspire to be a CFO or CEO. And what did I say just a minute ago? A good CFO or CEO is a person who's empathetic. Okay. No, if 20 years down the road, AI is going to be everywhere. I don't need to know option pricing. AI will tell me what's the option price. Okay, but who is a CFO or CEO? Someone who has great human qualities. And one of the greatest human qualities is empathy. Empathy means what? Understanding the other person's point of view. And that comes from experience. So how do you prepare for it? You prepare for it today by getting as much hands-on experience as possible. As much hands-on experience as possible. You know what I find frustrating with sitting in front of a computer all day. You should be sitting with human beings all day.
Yes.
You know, you should be understanding human problems. You know, if I can just share this very small anecdote with you, I used to teach a course called Marketing of Financial Services in Symbiosis. And what I would ask my students to do is, you know, what happens in Symbiosis every morning, a lot of these poor ladies who live in Tamil Nadu, they would come by bus, get off on the highway and walk in a single line and enter Electronic City and go to all these Infosys, Wipro and all these campuses, and they'd be employed as cleaners, right? And we were doing a course called Marketing of Financial Services. And I said, okay, I'm not going to teach you anything. I'm just giving you a questionnaire, one questionnaire. Tomorrow you come out of your hostel at 7 o'clock, meet these ladies who are walking by, give them a chocolate or something, I'll pay for it. Give them a chocolate, I'll give them a cup of tea or cup of coffee and say, what is your biggest need? What is it that you want? You're working very hard. You're traveling so much and coming all the way. And you would be surprised when the answer was, I need a bank account. Because these poor ladies would get paid in cash every day. They're daily wage workers.
Yes.
And the cash would get stolen. Or they would keep the money in the house and their husbands would beat them up and take it and drink it up. And the ladies would say, if I can, you know, take the cash that I get from my employer today and put it in a bank account, nobody can touch it. You see, what happens then is, and then my students loved it. And it just opened their eyes. They said, oh my God, there's so much of opportunity. And luckily at that time, the government also started the Jan Dhan scheme, and anybody could open an account in the bank. A whole lot of small finance banks opened up and so on. This is what I mean by being empathetic. This experience, at least this is what my students told me, they wouldn't have got it from any computer or any chat GPT. The capacity to be empathetic, the capacity to understand the other person's point of view.
Basically to know the problems what are going on in the society, and then trying to make a solution for it. Yeah, absolutely.
So okay, so you might say, listen, I'm a busy person. I've got a job. And of course, it's very important. We discussed a little while ago why it's important to start saving and building a house. You have to work hard. So how do you become empathetic otherwise? You spend a lot of time on current affairs. I know what is happening. And if you look at, again, goes back to what we discussed just now. You know, household savings in India, in the year 2014, savings was 45% of India's GDP.
Okay.
In 2024, I'm going by RBI data, 45% has fallen to 27%. People are saving less. And at the same time, what do you find? GST collections going up. These middle class people like me, they've fallen into the trap of consumption. I understand. I can be empathetic of what's happening. I can't change it. I'm not Mahatma Gandhi. But at least I'm empathetic. I know what it is my customers want. I get some idea what it is that society wants. No, for instance, okay, let me give you a very, very, very simple, crude idea. Okay, and this is something that I've, we implemented it in the year 2016 in Symbiosis.
Okay.
Okay. There was this very smart guy, finance guy, and he said, I want to do something entrepreneurial. And he asked me exactly the same question. How do I develop empathy? How do I understand what my customer wants? I said, I'm surprised you're asking me this question. You know how I talk. So he was taken aback. He said, he was regretting even coming to him. I said, no, this is the way I talk. Don't worry. I said, just do one thing. Just stand outside the mess tomorrow. Breakfast. Meet 10 people and ask those 10 people, what is your pain point today? But don't say going to class and all. That's everybody's pain point. But what is your pain point in life? And Shubham, you won't believe it. 9 out of 10 people said, "Yaar, mera kapade pada hai." My kapda is 4 years, 4 days, 4, 5 days of kapda. I want to wash my kapda, nahi ho raha. So I said, great. Now you have an idea. Now you're empathetic. You understand your customers' needs. Let's start a laundry. So in the basement of the hostel, we started a laundry. We crowdfunded it. We started a laundry. And what would happen is students would bring a bag at breakfast time, give it to one of the floor cleaners. The hostel floor, because by 8 o'clock they would have cleaned all the floors. It was a second employment for them. And by evening, when people went for the evening tea to them after classes, everything would be ready, neatly ironed. And what happened was, we at the end of the batch, we sold off the washing machine and everything, and returned the money also with interest. So what I'm trying to say is a very simple example. See, if you're empathetic to what the customer wants, so a good CFO has to be empathetic. A good CEO, a good executive. So if you develop these habits, you stand out. So if you develop these empathetic feelings, if you understand how the other person feels, and at the same time developing your technical skills, because remember, a CFO or a CEO primarily is not a domain knowledge expert, particularly for your generation. The AI will be doing all the domain knowledge thing. What would be a standout quality? A standout quality is to be an empathetic human being. An empathetic human being is someone who's not always comparing, someone who's not always saying, merely kya hai isme? What's in it for me? Because that's the law of nature. If you give first, you get. Look at the sun. Sun doesn't care. It keeps shining. Does the sun care whether I get blessed or not? Regardless, it shines. You look at the universe. Look at nature. So the really outstanding CFOs, CEOs that I have come across in my time are people who are extremely empathetic. And if I may say so, the best CEO of India has been Dr. Manmohan Singh. But I really admire him. He is a PhD from Oxford. He could have gone and taught in Harvard, but he chose to come back to India. He never went and worked for any foreign organization. He only worked for Indian departments. He is the man who brought liberalization to our country. You and I are still benefiting from it. I'll just give you one, the only time I had not personal interaction with Manmohan Singh was a big meeting. Okay, I was sitting in the corner. Okay, I was in the bank and we were talking about priority sector lending. And priority sector lending is lending to the poorest of the poor. So my CEO was sitting on the table and I had gone as my aide-de-camp to my CEO. And Dr. Manmohan Singh was chairing that meeting.
Oh, wow.
And he came on time. They called for a meeting at 10 o'clock at Vigyan Bhavan in Delhi. And in India, you have to be fashionably late. So we reached about 10 past 10. And we found that Dr. Manmohan Singh had come 5 minutes before 10. He was sitting there. And he was unwell. He was holding a kerchief like this and he was coughing. And one of the ministers there said, "Sir, why don't you please, go see a doctor?" And after an hour, he said, I think I should see a doctor. I heard this with my own ears. And you know what Dr. Manmohan Singh did? He didn't go to the best. He didn't go to AIMS. He didn't go to a best private doctor. He went to the CGHS, Central Government Health Scheme, where the peon of the government department goes for checkup. Amazing, the humility of the man. That's what, in my opinion, made him great. They cared about the common good. They cared about the legacy they leave behind. I think that quality, if one has, then you will definitely reach the top rung. Because these are all very rare qualities. Shareholders like it, lenders like it, vendors like it. To be a CFO, you got to have the support of all stakeholders, not just your boss. Your shareholders need to support you. Your vendors need to support you. Your employees need to support you. Otherwise, you'll never be a successful CFO. Or a CEO. And how do you get it? The one common thing that binds all these people together is you're willing to listen. You're empathetic. And you take a decision in the best interest of everybody. That's what I think.
Yeah. It's
completely... You can start today. You start today by keeping your, how can I be helpful? If you have that attitude, over 15 years, 20 years, it grows and grows and grows. And you become a very empathetic human being. The most rare word that I come across these days, people saying, I understand. I know how you feel. It's always like, bro, I want this, or bro, I want that. Great, that's what you want. But very few people are there who say, Oh yeah, I understand. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Why don't you do it this way?
Mm.
You know, the empathy. Yeah, why is Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal revered as a great sports? Empathetic.
Mm.
If a ball
Mm.
went and hit a ball boy,
Mm.
Federer would stop the game and say, "Are you all right?"
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And you end of the match, he would give his towels to them.
Mm.
He
Mm.
will be very, very empathetic.
It's such an eye opener for me as well. Like it's to be honest, I'll start to apply these things which you told from day one as is, and I will surely reminisce these once I am in some years, maybe heading somewhere or something. I'll still remember this, sir, that I did my Inception podcast for the Prudent Finance with you, sir. So thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Kumar, for coming to the Prudent Finance Great Conversations podcast. Indeed, it was one of the greatest and the great conversations we had. It was an honor to host you, and thank you so much again for it.
Thanks, Shubham. Thanks for the initiative. Thanks
Hmm.
for investing your time in this. I'm
Yes, yes.
sure it'll pay you very rich dividends to use financial language. All the best.
Thank you, Ravi sir.
Take
Thanks a
care.
lot.